Evening all. Now tonight we'll be talking about what happens when a flat earther finally sees the light. We'll be delving into the challenges of leaving such a deeply held belief and the inevitable backlash. We'll also be talking about his coverage of the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial in 2022 and where he's been for the last 3 years. So buckle up because we're about to go from flat out wrong to factually fascinating.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald f***.
Please subscribe. Good evening.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Ranty. How are you, pal?
I'm not too bad. Not too
Do you
bad at
still
all.
go by Ranty, or is there something else that's preferred?
I guess Ranty was my nickname for a while, so
It's how I know you. So as long as I wasn't sure if you'd be bothered because of being a flat earther previously.
No, not really. I mean,
Yeah.
I won't want it on my new channel. That's for sure. I don't want it on my almost unbelievable channel, but
Yeah.
auditing the absurd channel's fine.
So where have you been? 3 years, I think, was the last video I saw published on the Audit in the Absurd channel. And you just sort of disappeared.
Took a break. Took a big break.
Sabbatical.
I needed it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'd been on YouTube since 2010, and I'd had a fair few different channels. The last one, the more famous one, was the Ranty Flat Earth one. And obviously, when I was still doing that, Conspiracy Cats got a hold of me to do the Almost Unbelievable podcast. So I threw myself into that. And then I moved on to auditing the absurd when that image of Blackpool came up, and I realized I was wrong. And threw myself into that. And then obviously the Amber Heard trial and everything. And that was a lot of work to do that. And ultimately, after 12 years of being on YouTube, it was just such a lot. It was my mind was never stopping, and I needed to. I just needed to step away, and that's what I did.
I can imagine because obviously I understand how draining it is just to be a creator on YouTube, just to make videos for people to watch. But you were dealing with that as well as, I'm guessing, significant backlash from people who you previously considered to be friends. So I can 100% see why you would need to take such an extended break. You literally needed to completely reboot your brain, didn't you?
I did. Whilst I was a flat earther, I mean, I started off where I was a painter and decorator. That was my trade. And I still carried on painting and decorating all the way through that. And at the same time, I was also taking, say, an hour off to go and do some filming, come back, work until about 6 o'clock at night. And when I started doing my Ranty's Round Table, the debate platform, I wasn't finishing until like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I was up again at 6 o'clock in just three hours time. And this, I managed to hold that together for about 18 months. But I was running on 3 hours of sleep,
That's a lot, isn't it?
Well, that's why I gave the channel away. I gave the channel away to Brandon. He took over that. He only managed it for around about a month. He only put about 6 round tables out, and then he gave up. So he couldn't handle it. I'd done it for 18 months, and when Conspiracy Cats asked me, do I want to do something different, and I thought, let's give it a go. And I was still a flat earther at this time. I mean, it was nice of Cats to reach out, being a globe proponent, and me being a flat earther, because I guess he wanted to work with me. And we never talked about flat earth. That was one thing we decided. If we were going to do this channel, we wouldn't talk about flat earth. And honestly, I mean, I would speak to him every day, and we never once spoke about flat earth at all.
Because I know I was having a chat with Dave McKeegan. I think Dave was my first guest on this show, and I was asking him that when they were down in Antarctica, what were you know, were Jaren and Whitsit and Lisbeth, were they, and I know this may not make much sense in the way I'm saying it, but were they always flat earthers? You know, did every conversation have to revolve around the flat earth? And, you know, if you try to go off and talk about a different topic, where they kind of steer it, you know, are they only happy if they're talking about flat earth? So the fact that you and Katz were just having conversations that had nothing to do with flat earth is probably explains why I never made a video about you when you were a flat earther. Because I used to look at your videos and I used to think, yeah, believing this sort of stuff is just nuts. But you seemed like too nice a guy, and I didn't feel any need to sort of even talk about you. Do you know what I mean? I've got these sort of unwritten kind of precursors to being in one of my videos, and you've got to be a bit of a dick, which luckily for me pretty much includes every flat earther that exists with one or two exceptions. And you know, they've got to be mean, you know, but otherwise I feel like I'm attacking somebody who hasn't really done anything except, you know, said that they believe something questionable.
Yeah, I think like last night it was the first time it had rained here in a very long time, and I enjoy going out for a walk in the rain. So me and my new partner went out for a walk in the rain. Went down to the beach, and I told her about the flat Earth. I told her, you know, what had happened in my past life, and I said, "You see over there, that's Barrow in Furness, and you see there's Blackpool Tower." I said, "I once went to Barrow in Furness, and I've got a video up, and I was able to see all the way to um, to the big one, which is about 24 miles from sea level. You know, you're talking from 4 feet, 5 feet above the water's edge, all the way across the ocean to the mirror ball, to the big one, etc. And so many feet, 130 feet or whatever, should have been missing at that point." And I said, I could clearly see it. I filmed it. And to me, this is what reinforced my belief in the flat earth, is because you see it, it must be true. And I was being told that it was refraction that was the cause of this, especially low down. You know, anything under 10 feet or so, you get extreme refraction. So me being kind of stupid, just didn't want to accept that information, because I just thought, I believe what I see. And then obviously I was looking for something a little bit different, a different perspective. And when that photograph of Blackpool came up that gave me the mountains in the background with Blackpool Tower in the foreground, it was just what I needed, because you could see half of the mountain was missing, which was impossible on a flat plane. It was just absolutely impossible. And that's when it everything just came into, it was within the space of a few hours, it just all processed. And it was like, well, the globe earthers have been telling me that this is a phenomena. You can see long distances when you're low down level because of the way refraction works. And to finally get that image pop up and free me from the flat earth, that was what it was. And so I don't, I look back and I saw what I saw, and I put videos out that were, to people that just like imagery and seeing far. The images that I put out were great because you could see far, far further than the globe would say mathematically you should see. It's when you have to include refraction into that, whether you believe it or whether you don't. And for me, so when I was putting the evidence out, I was actually showing that you could see way further, and I put a lot of distances in, and took a lot of time to actually make sure that everything that I was putting out was factual. This is this wind turbine, this is this building over here, this is where I was filming from, and it broke all the mathematical 8 inches per mile squared, from what I was seeing. But refraction was the cause to that.
So that sort of observation was your tipping point. in the same
Oh,
way as seeing a 24-hour sun in Antarctica was a tipping point for Jaren. But do you think there are other flat earthers that have they sort of saw your observation? They also realized that it was completely impossible to explain on a flat Earth model, but they've just continued to, I don't want to say lie to themselves. That may not be the right word, but they've just sort of got this almost invisible sort of force field that won't let any contradictory evidence through.
yeah. You see, I think it's a whole host of different things. The reason why you keep believing in something when presented with evidence. I think surrounding yourself with the same people with the same beliefs all the time is some kind of trap in itself,
Yeah,
because when you wake up and you want to speak to somebody, you're reaching out to speak to a flat earther. They're helping. It becomes part of your identity, your daily routine. You're more likely to instantly dismiss anything that's globe earth. I mean, taking yourself away from those people for a time and then being presented the same evidence at another time several months later is probably a much better way to go. It's much more difficult when they're in the community and regularly every day digesting flat earth nonsense.
yeah,
But also people like Jaren, he a lot of people don't realize this, but his whole thing was looking at the celestial bodies, the
yeah,
sun, the moon, the stars, how they all work and how they interact. You know, he came up with all kinds of crazy ideas about how you can have a personal dome and things like this, to explain what you're seeing where you are. But he was always thinking out of the box, but his main focus was this, the
yeah,
celestial bodies. So for him, like much for myself, I needed proof where I lived locally of, you know, some kind of curvature, and I got it in a big way, and it was fantastic. It freed my mind, brought me back to the globe. Everything was great afterwards. Can't say anything was bad about that. And with
yeah,
Jaren too, Jaren saw the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. That is impossible on the AE map. It's impossible on Gleason. You know what I mean? You just cannot have it
yeah,
on a flat Earth, and he
yeah,
realized that, and he was open and honest enough and truthful enough to hold his hands up and say, "Hey,
yeah,
I
yeah,
got it wrong." That
yeah.
was his wake up call.
And you would know from personal experience how difficult it is to kind of have to pivot like that, because you're no longer prepared to deny a piece of realistically undeniable evidence, like witnessing a 24-hour sun. And now it seems that flat earth has kind of become one of two things: either just kind of trying to forget that the final experiment ever happened, or they're trying to forget how many times they said a 24-hour sun is impossible on a flat earth in Antarctica. And I'm mainly talking about Dave Weiss, obviously, because, you know, he's said it the most, I think. But
I think it's at some point in time, I think every flat earther has said it.
yeah,
Um, you know, when I was first presented with the argument, you know, I understood it. And I think I might have said it a couple of times. You know, I mean, I didn't really research that, but I just verbatim just copied what everybody else was saying. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Nathan Oakley, for instance, when we would chat behind the scenes after the Flat Earth debate, we would talk. There'd be Sleeping Warrior there, Arwin, a few other people, and it was brought up many times, the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, that it
yeah,
can't happen. So that's how I actually understood. I actually learned the argument about the 24-hour sun from flat earthers, because even though there may have been evidence and videos out there from globe earthers saying you can't have a 24-hour sun on a flat plane in
yeah,
Antarctica,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I didn't know that from you guys, because I never watched it. You know, I
yeah,
never watched your content.
yeah, yeah. So, how are you still kind of feeling a label? I know that I've done exactly that for this video, you know, ex flat earther, but I want people to watch. Do you find that you're still to some people, Ranty the flat earther.
Oh, I think I'll always be, for as long as I'm on YouTube, I'll always be known
Yeah,
as Ranty. That will follow me forever. So I'm
yeah,
at peace. I'm at peace with that. I'm at peace with knowing that I'm an ex-flat earther. You know, I mean that to me doesn't
yeah, yeah. That's
concern
why
me.
I asked you ahead of time. You know, is it okay if I call you Ranty? Because that's how I know you. So, you know, it's
Well, we can never change our history. We can never change where we've been in life and life experiences and the things that we've done. That all
yeah,
molds us into the people that we become. So yeah, I mean, I had several years on flat Earth, and you know that's made that at the end of it, I've come out stronger than
yeah,
when I went in it. I
yeah,
think I went in at a very low point in my life, and I came out of it much stronger. Um, yeah, and it's all positive from now on. So yeah, that was a past life. I feel sorry for those flat earthers that are still there,
yeah,
that should leave. I mean, look at all the people that have left. We've got Jaron that's left, Robbie Davidson.
yeah,
We've got Patricia Steer,
yeah,
Paul on the plane. You
yeah,
know, there's probably others too. And people that used to follow me have emailed me and said, "Thank you for doing that video about the mountain in the background and the way you explained it and how it was refraction. We believed what you were showing us, but when you presented this evidence, we are no longer flat earthers too." And I'm sure that there will be people that follow Jaron, Patricia Steer, Paul on the plane. They'll be following these, and they will leave too. And there are some that will stay, and they will head to the remainder of the flat earthers that are left. And there's not that many. What have we got? Mark Sargent. We've got Nathan Oakley. Who else? Who else is there?
Nathan Thompson is kind of around. But you know, I think back to like I say, I've been doing this is my 7th year doing this now, and the people I make videos about now are all the kind of original, you know, D Marble. I know he's kind of around, but he's not really that big a name in the flat Earth anymore. And who was the other guy? D Marble.
CC.
Oh, I still make videos about CC once a fortnight.
He's
Yeah,
great
I
content.
tell you what, Randy, he's gonna. If I ever take Blinder Enterprises public, I'm gonna have to give him some free shares because he has brought more subscribers to my channel than any other person I make videos about. He is literally the gift that keeps on giving. And I've had this long held suspicion that he isn't even really a flat earther. He's just the best parody comedian on YouTube, and I fall for it all the time. But I don't know if I want that to be true or not true. But you know, some of the signals he gives off and some of the observations my viewers make about CC, I think he is just a lost cause. He's gone beyond believing the earth is flat to some kind of insane asylum inside his own mind. He just seems to think that CC's catchphrase has to be bullshit because everything is. There isn't a politician alive in the world today that isn't kind of like a reptilian bloody Illuminati cloak wearing no good scumbag according to CC. But I just he's definitely my favorite flat earther by a mile.
Well,
He's got to be.
I think the best thing for him would be to just stay off the internet. I mean,
Yeah.
if he was to not have access to any kind of electronic devices for 6 months, he'd probably return to normality. It's being in that world, and
That's the thing, isn't it? Like you say, you're getting fed this information, and you said yourself earlier on, isn't it? You would just believe it because Nathan Oakley said it, for example. You know, and that's the definition of an echo chamber is just surrounding yourself by yes men with
well, this
nobody on the inner side of it to challenge your beliefs. They may challenge them if they think there's a danger that something you believe is more likely to be supported by a globe model than the flat model. But other than that, I think they just want to keep saying this because I can always tell if I come across a new flat earth channel, I can always tell which other flat earthers they've watched. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Nathan Oakley or Eric Dubay. And I have had a couple that I suspect watch Level Earth Observer, because Americans don't really use the word pantomime. It's so they've picked it up from somewhere, but
Well,
they're all the
flat
same. They all just, everyone's going, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Doesn't matter. You can't prove it. We all say you're right, so you must be.
Well, the flat earthers always say do your own research, but like you said, and something that I found too, is that you don't do your own research. For instance, I only focused on one thing, which was just visuals and photography and long distance in my location. That's the only thing that I cared about. Anything else that I learned about flat Earth, I learned it from people like 10th Man, Nathan Oakley, Jeranism, Mark Sargent. I would watch their content and I would learn from them. So I wasn't actually doing my own research. I was just regurgitating the stuff that they were saying, and they were presenting me with their arguments, and I was understanding those arguments and then running with those arguments if I got speaking to somebody else about it. And I knew nothing. I didn't know much about what I was talking about. I just repeated what they were saying.
Yeah. And chances are that when they said it to you, they were just repeating something they'd heard somebody else say. And
100%.
It's going back to that echo chamber and surrounding yourself with yes men. It does none of us any good to never have the things we talk about challenged. It's healthy. Healthy debate, healthy conversation is good, but there doesn't seem to be anything like that happening in the flat Earth. As an observer looking in, they all just seem to be attacking each other at the moment, and cease and desist letters, and public retractions and what's the guy, Marty Leeds? See, now, to me, I don't know where he's come from. I don't know if he was somebody you were familiar with, but to me, he just seems to have poofed into existence.
No, Marty Leeds has been around for as long as I've been around.
Has he?
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe he's just somebody I hadn't really paid any attention to, or I don't know. But to me, he just seems to have come out of nowhere, thrown a hand grenade into the flat Earth community, and now he's sort of sitting there like Dr. Evil, rubbing his hand and stroking his cat.
Well, Cat's released a video, actually. Was it? It might have been yesterday.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
And he was saying that he's listed, he's done a retraction video, and which is what they asked within the cease and desist, but then he buried it with 20 videos thereafter, which I think is so disingenuous, because if you're gonna apologize and you're gonna say, look, I was wrong, I shouldn't have said this, leave the video up. Leave it up and don't post anything else.
To me, this is what he's done. Let's say, for argument's sake, I'd offended you in some way and I needed to apologize. I would just look at you and say, Ranty, listen, sorry, mate, I was wrong, I apologize. But what Marty Leeds did, he knew what he'd said, and he basically went, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like a petulant teenager. That's how his retraction came across to me as a viewer. It was pathetic.
Well, all sentences are the same, essentially. They'll behave that way. Very disingenuous, for the most part. Jaren's found it out. Jaren's found that out, by the way. Jaren has found that out, because when I left, I thought my standing in the community was pretty good. I thought I was pretty well known throughout the flat Earth community. I had a lot of people supporting me, giving me the big thumbs up every time. Rarely said a bad word about me. As soon as I became a globe earther and released the evidence that disproved everything that I'd done up to that point, I was public enemy number one. And the same things happened with Jaren. The same things happened with Patricia. And that's why you're getting people like Marty Leeds come out of the woodwork and say things. Mark Sargent say things about these people. It's like, why didn't you say it when he was a flat earther then? When these people were flat earthers, what made you hold your tongue then?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty self-evident, really, isn't it? Why this is happening? It's just another part of the explosive collapse of the flat Earth community. Because the thing is, you don't see, and you know, you were on our side of the fence now, so to speak, but you never see, you know, I've never come across anybody making a comment or saying something in a video along the lines of, "Oh, you'll never guess what? Fight the flat earthers fallen out with Creaky Blinder and they hate it." It just doesn't seem to happen. You know, like I don't speak to Craig every day or anything, but you know, I can send him a WhatsApp if oh, what do you think about this? You know, I got this, you know, same Simon Dan, I'll message Dan. You know, it's but so what I was getting at is there anybody who is still in the flat earth community that you considered a friend that you are now sort of estranged from because you're is there anybody you wish was still a friend, but the flat earth is preventing that continued friendship?
Um, no, I think it was that's a really good question actually. I never really had that question put to me before, but I guess at the time, I mean, you consider these people friends, but in reality, do I miss them? No. um, would I have considered them friends in the real life? No. But to me at the time when I was a flat earther, they were my best friends. That is so weird. I've never thought of it this way before. That is a real straight. It's like your friendship online at the time meant everything to these people, and you meant everything to them, and vice versa. It was like a very friendly. You considered them one of your best friends, but as soon as I became a globe earther, again, return to the globe, I don't miss them. Um, would I have them in my life as a friend, even if they return to the globe? No. It's so weird. I've never even thought of it that way before, but that's the God's honest truth.
I tell you what, I've surprised myself there by coming up with such a poignant question. I didn't know I had it in me.
Oh man, yeah, I mean that I never really thought of it that way before, but yeah, it's weird how
Yeah,
you consider these people such a big part of your life, and
yeah,
like the only people you want to speak with, the only people I would wake up, and the only people I wanted to speak to were Nathan Oakley, Sleeping Warrior, sometimes
yeah,
Arwen, Tenth Man, and that was it.
yeah, yeah.
I've
I
never given him a second thought since.
Do you know, I don't know whether or not that's just part of having an online part of your life being such a big and such an important part of your life. And I think we're all kind of it's very easy to become consumed by, being a YouTuber or, being a flat earther, being a flat earth debunker, whatever you want to say. So, if because I do it myself. The last thing I look at before I go to sleep at night is my YouTube studio. Just quick look.
Same
There we
here.
are. There we are. And the second I open my eyes in the morning, my glasses go on, phone up, studio app. It's the first thing I look at. Even if I've got, say, some missed messages or maybe a missed call. No, I look at the YouTube studio app first. I'm that sort of obsessive over it and I'm that invested in it that it's so I get what you're saying because this really can swallow you whole.
Yeah, and I think also it just goes to show that you can separate your real life with your online life, even though at this moment in time, we're both. I'm now creating again. Obviously, you've been creating consistently for the last few years, but it does become a big part of our lives. It feels like it's who we are. We have an online and we have a real life, but when you strip it all away, you can actually move past that and just come back to reality. It just shows as a human species we can do without our online persona. And it's
Yeah,
weird how we've only gained this online persona in the last 20 odd years, since the inception of the
yeah,
internet. You take
yeah,
that away and we only had the real world.
yeah.
Now
Because
we've
I
now
often
we're splitting ourselves in two, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. Because I often wonder, you know, how many flat earthers would there be if the internet had never been invented? You know, how responsible. And I know there were flat earthers a very long time before the internet, and I know that, you know, thousands of years ago, people thought the earth was flat anyway, but that was just because we didn't know. But I often wonder, did the internet cause the popularity of, well, not just flat earth, really, just conspiracy theories in general, because they're so much easier to share now?
Well, I think the internet, so if you look at it another way, the internet created a evolution in humanity in breaking apart our um, personas into two lives, one that's online and one that's offline.
Yeah.
So you can be whatever you want on the internet. You can do anything there.
Yeah.
You can have friends with anybody, but if you was to strip that away, and you don't have access to the internet for 6 months, you soon return back to normality, to reality.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what happened with me. I mean, I kind of stepped away from content created on the Ranty's Round Table, doing that debate platform, which,
Yeah.
may I say, the best platform out there for debates. Far better than Nathan Oakley's. I was getting 4 times as many viewers, just saying. And but I stepped away from that. And when I stepped away from it and gave the channel away because it just became too much, I had a little break. Conspiracy Cats got in touch. Do you want to start a new channel? I was like, sure. Give me something else to do.
Yeah.
But I was able to step away from that side of myself and switch that off and come back to reality. So when you think about it, it really is pretty deep when we get into what we do online. Like you say, you wake up, you check your studio. That's what
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
First thing and last thing. I'll tell you what, my studio was going off when I covered that Amber Heard trial.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because I was just about to tip the conversation in that direction, because I know we've had a couple of text conversations about, how things went and everything. But so, first of all, why did you decide? Is that just kind of the sort of thing you're interested in, or was there some other reason why you decided to
Well, I was going through
cover a court case live?
Well, I was going through something in my real life that was quite personal, and I started looking into court cases and things like that. And this popped up, and I don't know whether it was because I was looking on YouTube for court cases or something like that. But what was he called now? Stevie J, I think he was called, and he'd done a video about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. This was like a year before it came out, and I thought he provides a lot of good evidence here that Johnny Depp might not be guilty of what they're saying he is. So I started to do the research on it, and for months I was following it and doing my own research, and I really, really 100% believed that Johnny Depp was innocent. And I just thought to myself, you know what? I really want to cover this. I don't know what it was. I just had a real inkling that I wanted to cover it. I decided to quit painting and decorating completely in the run up to it and dedicate all the time that I would need to cover it, live stream it, the whole trial, do short videos, do longer videos, do recap videos, but just cover it and give it my all to support Johnny Depp. And I don't know why I felt so passionate about it, but I really did. And it worked out quite well.
I tell you what, I would have been absolutely devastated if Johnny Depp was guilty. I love Johnny Depp. Absolute man crush on him. He's awesome. So did you did just say that you packed your job in, you quit working?
Yep.
Really? Because you thought it might work?
No, not because I thought it might work. I really wasn't interested. I didn't expect to get the views or the subscribers from that. I really didn't. I didn't care about that. I just wanted to see justice done for him.
Yeah.
Because everything that I'd seen and everything that I'd read, I realized, in my opinion at least, that Johnny Depp was being dragged backwards when he should have been going forwards, and that Amber Heard had been lying this whole time. That's what I believed, and I saw all the evidence for it, and I just wanted to cover it. You know, I wasn't even bothered whether I got more than 1,000 views on each video. I just wanted to cover the trial and throw my support into the ring for him. I didn't expect it to blow up like it did. I didn't expect it to be this media circus that just took over everything. But for me personally, it was just a thing. It was just something I wanted to do, and I just felt very passionate about it. So I went with it, and yeah.
So what was it like when you were actually doing it? Were the live streams very busy, or were there periods where it was just you sat there on your own, or?
So when I first started, I would get maybe 100, 200 live viewers, something like that. I think on like day 4, I think it was on the Thursday, for some reason I went live a few minutes earlier than anybody else, and next thing I've got 10,000 people watching me. So there was quite a lot of people watching the live stream. Of course, they all dwindled off and they went to their own channels whenever they wanted to. But on the Friday of the first week, or it might have been the Friday of the second, I think it was Friday of the second week, after the court case coverage had finished, they stay around for a little bit, and the judge talks to Johnny, to the lawyers or whatever, and nobody stays around for that. But I stayed around for it, and I noticed that the judge had turned around and said, there's nothing happening tomorrow. Everyone's got a day off. And this was on the Friday. But I knew in the morning of that next morning, I knew that everybody would be searching for Johnny Depp live, Johnny Depp trial coming up, you know, and they would be expecting to see the trial because they didn't know that there was no trial on the Friday. And so I just put this video out, and because I'd just, you know, I'd had lots of viewers come in, not subscribe, stay for half an hour, and then disappear somewhere else. So I know that YouTube would have passed me out to the algorithm. So I just thought to myself, I wonder if I put a video out at 10 in the morning and just see whether or not, and I think I called it Time's Up, you know what I mean? And it was kind of a clickbaity title because I also knew that there was no coverage that day. But judge says Time's Up. And it would just be enough to get people thinking, well, where is this trial? Oh, there's a video out here that says the judge says that the time's up. And that just sparked. That was the first viral video anywhere of any video, you know, there was thousands ultimately by lots of different content creators, but that was the very first video that ever went viral. And other content creators started copying it too. But yeah, I did pretty well. I had a fair few viral videos, you know, after that too. So
if I remember correctly, the biggest was 11 million.
11 million, yeah.
And how quickly did that come in?
It was like over 2 days, 3 days. It was
better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, isn't it? I'll ask the question for the benefit of the audience, but so the Audit in the Absurd channel where you did this, was that set up specifically for the trial, or?
No. This is the channel that I used to debunk flat Earth.
I thought that's what it was, because what I wanted to ask you as well was, did the coverage of the trial and the viral videos you had after that damage the channel at all? Because I've seen lots of people give examples of, you know, oh, I had a video go, you know, my videos usually get 10,000 views and then this one had 100 million, but now my channel's dead.
Well, to be honest, I don't really know, because once the trial finished, I basically just put the PC away and was just like, I'm stepping away for a bit. So I didn't carry on doing any other content. I did Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, and then I just walked away, and that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I just down tools and walked away, and it was a good time to go. I'd made plenty of money, and you know, over that period of time.
Yeah.
So I had the money to do whatever I wanted, essentially. And stepping away from content creating for a time, I didn't expect it to be 3 years. I remember saying to a good friend of mine called Ruben, after just a few months, I want to get back into content creating, but I don't know whether it was a fear of getting back into it or some kind of anxiety or something that was going on, but I always had the idea of coming back, but never had the willpower to push through that and start up again. It was a very weird. I wanted to do it. I knew I should be doing it, but I never got back around to doing it, and just time drifted by. 3 years later, and here I am kicking it off all again. So
yeah. So obviously, I wouldn't hold you to this, but I did ask you before the stream. So are we talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands?
I think.
And if you prefer not to answer, Randy, please say. I'm not,
It was very near to 100,000.
Yeah, because I remember we had. I don't know if you remember it. We had a conversation over. You were considering buying crypto out of some of what you, because I knew, because you told me before, and I think my opinion and the one I shared with you is that you shouldn't do it. So did you? Was I right? And you're now piss poor, or am I a complete idiot who doesn't understand crypto, and that's actually your real studio behind you and not green screen at all?
I actually bought some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I bought it rather low. I bought it when it was about 12,300, something like that.
Yeah.
And I believe it's a lot more now. Unfortunately for me, I left my details, all the login details and passwords, at an ex-partner's house, and yes, never to be seen again, unfortunately. So, yes.
But isn't Bitcoin tied to a personal wallet, like a digital wallet? Can't you kind of prove?
Well,
is it one of those things where it's like, it's only money, I don't care, the aggravation is going to outweigh the reward of the money?
Well, the wallet I set up, trying to remember now, the wallet that I'd set up was a username or something like that. And then there was like 20 different passwords, like orange, banana, apple, carrots, whatever. And it was like, it was all written like that. And that's the only access that I had to it.
Right.
So, yes, that wallet itself is history. It's gone. So
sounds like it, but like sometimes it's just not worth the aggravation. But as long as it wasn't all of it.
No, wasn't all of it.
Yeah. So are you kind of all in on YouTube again now, or are you working out, in the real world, or?
So I've got two channels. I've got two YouTube channels. I've got the Almost Unbelievable channel, which is the one that I'm going to really be working the most on. It's going to be true crime with the occasional paranormal. It's going to be told in story form. It's going to be, if you think Mr. Ballon, it's going to be along those lines of how he tells the stories. And honestly, that's the one I really want to succeed. I feel like I've got a good voice for telling things in story form. So, and I think I've got the abilities to make it work. So we shall see. I've still got the Auditing the Absurd, which I will still create content on. There'll be videos coming out quite regularly on that, but they will be a lot less time in putting into them. There won't be. There'll be more putting out one after the other, after the other, after the other. Whereas, let's say once a week, I'm going to get some content on the Almost Unbelievable. That's the one where, if anything, I really don't want to be called ranty on there, because I'm distancing myself from all that kind of thing. But true crime, I think it's a very big, it's a very big subject. There's always criminals out there creating content for us, and to tell the stories of, somebody that's had something happen to them, or a mystery or something like that, tell it in story form, get to be creative around it. And, I think that'll do well. And that's where I really want to succeed in.
Yeah. So do you think now that you're on YouTube for a very different reason, that you're sort of getting to scratch your creative itches more now?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I said to my friend years ago that once the Almost Unbelievable channel started and with conspiracy cats, and then he needed to take some time off to do some work of his own. I won't go into too much detail about it, but he wanted to go in to do some work of his own, which basically left the channel without anyone making any content on it. When I decided to kick it off again, which I'd had it in my head for the last 2 years. This is what I want to do. I want to tell stories in story form, and true crime. I think there's so much content out there. It's unbelievable. There's so much evidence and information out there where you can create a story and sort of like bring that story to life and
Yeah.
and tell it to people, whether it's on a podcast or whether they watch you the same as like Mr. Ballon. And there are channels out there that are just crazy, doing crazy numbers,
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
views. And yeah, I think I'll be quite happy doing that.
Yeah, that's the thing with YouTube, though. I've always said that I believe there's an audience for absolutely anyone, and I mean anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, because I used to worry that I was too old, for YouTube. But I stumble across channels sometimes, and they make me look like I'm just a teenage boy. I've seen there's one. I think he subscribed to me. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and he's a guy. He's in his 80s, and he just games. He's a gaming streamer.
Wow.
So when
You're
I
never,
see
t-
people like
you're never
that,
too old for that, are you?
yeah. When I see people like that, then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not too old for YouTube then. But it was always one of the things that sort of gnawed away at me.
Well, I've just had my 50th birthday, so
Happy birthday.
thank you very much. Half a century old. I don't feel it though, and I feel like I've got another 15 years or so at least. So why not do something that really interests me, something that I can
Yeah,
get passionate about? I was passionate about flat Earth, and I put lots of content out of there. But
yeah,
this is a different kind of passion
yeah.
because I've always been interested in true crime. I guess that's why I did the Amber Heard trial.
Yeah, yeah. The true crime stuff interests me as well, but I still really enjoy doing what I do on my channel anyway, so I don't really feel the need to sort of try and do anything else yet. I'm sure at some point in the future it'll get to the point where people just don't want to see me talking about flat Earth anymore. But I think if you're kind of always evolving, even just a little bit, a pivot doesn't become so obvious then. Do you know what I mean? You can sort of transition to other topics or add new topics in over a
Yeah.
long period of time and not scare off people who, oh, well, I only subscribed to see you make videos about flat earthers. I'm sure there are some people who maybe even only watch the videos I make about CC. The views are wildly different. The
Well,
CC video I published yesterday accidentally at 5:30 instead of 7:30 is a 1 of 10, and it had done 30K it had done about 15K views in the first 4 hours, and the video before that still hasn't passed 17K, and it was about that fittest flat earther. And I'm so do you know the thing is, so if a video doesn't get watched, obviously that's my indicator that it's not worth covering that person again. But
could just be the time that you release the video.
yeah, maybe, but I always release some at the same time. See, but yesterday's one, I don't know if the time had anything to do with it, but somebody has sent me another video from Fittest Flat Earther, and it made me feel sick to my stomach, because what he's doing, the helicopter crash in New York, the helicopter went down into the Hudson.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and 3 young children died and their parents. And this dickhead is making a video saying that it was fake. It was all a hologram. 3 kids have died. And that's the sort of thing with flat earthers that really fucks me off. And I never swear in my videos, but how cruel can a person be towards another human being?
So that they have no scruples once they become a flat earther.
Yeah. What does he possibly gain from claiming that that's it? Hasn't he seen what happened to Alex Jones? You know, I know that's on a much bigger scale, but is it any different? I don't think so.
No.
But there we go, you know.
But the evolutions of the channels and stuff, you know, like you're saying, I think Flat Earth, you might get another couple of years out of it, but eventually, I think everyone's going to leave. It's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
Progressing, you know, there's hardly any content creators left now worthy of dissecting. But the Almost Unbelievable channel, that started off as a paranormal channel. In fact, there isn't a true crime story on there yet. It's paranormal. But I've just done the scripting for my first video. I've got all the evidence. I've got all the imagery. I'll be recording that tomorrow. That'll be my first true crime. That'll probably be out on, what are we now? Tuesday? Monday? We're Monday today. Yeah, Tuesday. So it'll be Thursday. Yeah, so that'll be out on Thursday. I'll have another one out on Monday, and I'll have another one out the following Thursday. So I'm going to get 3 videos out on that, all true crime. But that's the evolution. See, I can pivot because the name of the channel, Almost Unbelievable. I mean, it lends itself to anything that's almost unbelievable.
Yeah, so. That was the only calculated decision I made when naming my channel. I didn't want my channel name to have any specificity to it. I didn't, you know, Fight the Flat Earth, for example. It's clear what Craig does. But I didn't want my channel name to tie me to a topic. So I get what you're saying. That's
ooh, super chat.
Thank you, John. I'll throw a couple of quid in the swear jar for you. Yeah, I don't swear in my videos. I really don't. But so there's just some things that should be off limits for anyone to say. But I know that's not how the world works. But you know, it just seemed unnecessarily cruel, and doing it so soon after it had, he published the video the day after the accident happened.
And is he a flat earther?
Yeah, he's big on TikTok. He has got a YouTube channel. Fitness Flat Earther, Tyler, his name is.
Oh, is he the blonde? Is he the blonde-haired guy?
Oh no, oh god, I can't even make a video about him. His face just as soon as I see his face and that stupid smile, what does he think? He's auditioning to be the next Joker. I can't make a video about him, Ranty. He just winds me up. There'd be snot coming out of my nose and everything. I would get so worked up just from his face. But no, it's not him.
Well, you should do. You should cover him then. If you'll get loads of views on that chat.
He drives me insane. He does. Absolutely drives me insane. But no, this other guy, he goes by Fittest Flat Earther. But he was a school teacher who apparently lost his job as a teacher because he was trying to push his beliefs on to his students. So there we are. Old man agrees with me. Sorry, same that. Again, I'm pointing at my screen as if you can all see it. You can't. The Challenger disaster videos are offensive. Yeah, so I've seen. I can't even remember who it. No, it's gone. I can't remember. But I've seen flat earthers, you know, moon landing deniers, which seems to be like a sort of an offshoot of flat Earth, making videos saying that was fake. And call me a big softy, but I always think, but all those people who died very tragically and very publicly, they all have families that survived them, and those families are having to hear possibly somebody saying that they faked it. I don't know. Maybe it just seems.
It's the way of the world, unfortunately.
I know. It's sad. Well, it's 5 to 8, Ranty. So I don't know if you want to let everybody know where they can find you. I have put a link to the Audit in the Absurd channel below, but I will add a link to the Almost Unbelievable channel for you as well. And also these podcasts, for want of a better word, get chopped up into clips and published on Creaky Extra, my second channel. So I will...
Ooh, super chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Topping up the swear jar. Don't hold back.
This is what Nathan Oakley. This is what happened to Nathan Oakley when the very first time that he went off on the Globe Earthers in his debate platform, and he started swearing at them. Within 15 minutes, he'd made like £500, and it was the first time. It was the first time that people had really started supporting him. So when he came off the stream, he said to me, I can't believe that me just turning it around and going after the Globe Earthers is what my audience wanted. And that's what turned him into the monster that he is now.
Yeah.
But he saw that. And when he started swearing, people started super chatting. So maybe you should swear more and become a monster. What do you think?
Do you know why I don't swear in my videos? And I've told this story. So it was because when I started my channel, I was afraid that my parents would see it, or that one of my kids would hear me swearing in a YouTube video. That's why I don't swear in my videos. And Callum's in the room with me now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, so I'll link all your stuff, and I will be keeping a close eye on the Almost Unbelievable channel, because I do true crime. True crime is one of my sort of guilty pleasures. I do like having a look and and hearing the way people present, because what you hear is very much dependent on the presenter and the way they frame it. And it's interesting to hear different opinions in YouTube videos.
Ooh,
thank you to Luca. Okay, I got to get a second monitor. I got to make the screen big. It's Luca, yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, going back to Danielle's super chat.
Ooh,
she can have another one. Danielle is a friend of mine, and she's very, very Welsh, and I'm sure that sailors can't swear like Danielle. It's it catches you unaware sometimes.
Look at that. Blows my mind every time.
Yes, it does. She is not shy with the C word either. Oof. Which is a definite no-no for me in front of anyone, unless I'm really, really upset. But yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I have to say, really appreciate it. It's nice to be back again.
As soon as I saw you back, I messaged you straight away because I enjoyed chatting to you last time, and everybody knows where you've been. Everybody knows where they can find you now. So hopefully it'll because I know coming back after 3 years, you're kind of going from the ground up again, aren't you? So, if I can send anybody you away, I most definitely will, pal.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So let me just get rid of this rabble, and we'll speak to you again in a few minutes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again on the next one. Love you. Bye.
Thank you all for watching Creaky Live. Don't forget to follow me on all of your social media platforms. Have a good day and have a creaky week.